one planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
All right. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Metaphysical Mocha Monday. I am your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, here on a Monday morning where we like to kick off the week every Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or if you're anywhere in between, in the Central Time Zone, the Mountain Time Zone, or if you're somewhere in other parts of the world, over in England, over in Italy, over in Hong Kong. We've got viewers of the page, followers of the page from all over the world. So good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Actually, you can see one of my books here. Going to be having Michael Oken on. So two of his books, we're going to be talking about Monsterland. So those are just sitting in the background. So shout out to Michael, who'll be on the show. My radio show, Inspired Living Radio, this Wednesday through Om Times Radio Network. Just go to marclainhart.com to get to all the links, all the good stuff, the articles, newsletter, upcoming radio shows, these shows, my latest meditations, latest events, all at marclainhart.com. That's your kind of your one-stop shop for what I like to say, spiritual awesomeness. So good morning to you. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging out for the next half hour. We're going to be talking about the summer solstice. Happy summer to you. We're going to be talking about numerology. And going to be talking about Juneteenth, the holiday. So I've got my Stan Lee summer shirt on. I thought this was kind of a fun. If you're a Marvel's fan like I am, or a nerd like I am with Star Wars, Star Trek, anything Marvel, anything that's sci-fi, I thought I'd represent Stan Lee today with this cool, kind of a cool shirt, right? With his sunglasses and just have a really beautiful morning on our first day of summer. So everybody take a nice deep breath with me. Let's move into what I like to call the magic of the moment. It's really nice here in Seattle. I got my fan going, so hopefully it's not too loud and not disrupting the broadcast, which I don't think it is. but it's going to be about, I think, 90 degrees today for us, which is hot in Seattle. But this morning I got up, went for a nice walk early this morning, just taking in the day, first day of summer. My wife and I went out and took a stroll this morning and stopped and got coffee at one of my favorite coffee shops here in West Seattle called the Bird Cage. They make some fantastic coffee. I don't know if I can get the label off here to give you no. Oh, here we go. Well, it's Raven's Brew is the coffee they make, but the actual, there we go. It's called the Birdhouse. There you go. Give a shout out to my local coffee shop here. It's really cool. You go up and order right from the window, and they got bubbles blowing and really good food. And just, I'm a big supporter of small businesses. I know Starbucks is on every corner, but I don't really like Starbucks coffee, to be honest with you. I hardly drink it anymore. And try to support the local businesses, because I am a small business owner myself. I own two companies, actually, a CPR first aid company, and of course, then my spiritual practice, the Intuitive Prospector, where I do readings, lectures, meditations, events. Been doing that for a couple of years and really enjoying that. And if that doesn't keep me busy enough, I also teach here in Seattle at Harborview Medical Center as a contractor, as a basic life support certified healthcare provider, and I work a part-time federal day job for healthcare inspections. So it's a really busy time for me, but I love it. I love staying busy, keeping the mind sharp, keeping the life going to learn and to grow and to transform. And today, we're going to talk about the summer solstice, which this morning the sunrise was really early. The sun started to come up about 4:30 a.m. our time, a little bit before 5. So today's one of the longest days, and then it starts to get shorter as we prepare for fall and then move into winter. But I love the summer solstice because it's just a reminder to really just get out and start living your life again, especially after this pandemic. This pandemic has changed us. There is no going back to the normal, the old way of doing business. I always said normal wasn't working before. We're going to see a lot of transformations this year in the year of the 5. And just to talk about what this year can be for you, a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of motivation to get out. We're here in Seattle. We're about 70% of the population, actually about 75% now of the population here in the Pacific Northwest is vaccinated, including myself. I'm excited because I'm hoping to get back out and start up my Forest Friday hikes and get out into the mountains and do a little bit of exploration, a little bit of prospecting, hopefully create some overnight events. That's kind of the goal, if we can get back to getting out and being protected. COVID's going to be with us for some time, you guys. It's not going away until there's actually a cure, but you'll realize that most viruses don't have cures. I talked about this on my radio show last week about how pandemics change us culturally, behavioral, belief systems, how it transforms us. And so COVID, until there's a cure, if there is ever a cure, will be in society, just like AIDS has been around since the 80s. Some of the oldest, malaria has been around for forever. There's no cure for that. Polio, they did find a cure for polio back in the 1930s, but there's a lot of viruses that will be around us. So, that's why it's important to, be of public health and get vaccinated, just to, stop the spread, it's mitigation. So I've been vaccinated for about a month now. As you can see, there's, I did the whole magnet test on the arm. That's BS. I've been feeling great. I just got over a head cold, so I know that my immune system is working because I actually did get a head cold. Feeling better now. A couple nights of NyQuil and some, might be allergies too. I am older, so it could be a combination of allergies and a head cold. But, I haven't turned into a zombie. I am still living. The vaccination works because I believe in science and I believe in facts. But as you know, if you follow my work, we live in two different realities these days. A world with, the world is round, 2 + 2 is 4, and the sky is blue compared to the world is flat, 2 + 2 is 8, and the sky is green. So, well, I guess the sky could be green with the Borealis lights, or Aurora Borealis lights. That's what I'm trying to say. More coffee. So I guess the sky could be green, so it's a different color. How about the sky could be red in the morning? Red in the morning, sailors take warning. Red at night, sailors delight. How about the sky? Sky can be black at night. What's a different color? Sky is, I don't know. Sky can be different colors. Well, 2 + 2 is 4. The world is round. I'm in that world. That's what I'm trying to say. So Happy summer to you. Grab your coffee, grab your tea. Let's have a chat about the summer solstice. Let's have a chat about Juneteenth. And Juneteenth, we just celebrated. It just became a federal holiday. It's been a holiday celebrated in most states. First celebrated in Texas in 1865, which ended it was a proclamation to end slavery. And Texas was the last state to actually have awareness to this, but the first state to actually make it Juneteenth a state holiday. And most states around the country, I think with the exception of South Dakota and Hawaii for many, many years, were the only two states that had not made that a holiday. But it became a federal holiday this weekend on Saturday. So happy Juneteenth to you. But what I want to talk about with you real quick is it's interesting that day, which represents, it's June 19th, and it's called Freedom Day, right? And this year in numerology, I'm a big fan of numbers and numerology and how we live our lives according to numerology. Numerology this year, since this year is 2021, this is the year of the 5. And the 5 is all about freedom, love, and adventure, or what we like to say, the freedom-loving adventurer in the year of the 5. So with numerology and my understanding of numerology and what it's one of the tools that I use in my spiritual practice when I'm doing readings, when I'm doing events. Numbers come to me a lot, movies come to me a lot. But it's one of the tools in my spiritual toolbox that I use and I teach on as a numerologist. As far back as we can trace, numerology is about 11,000 years old as far as recorded history goes. It's probably older, but as far back that I've been able to trace it of its origins and where it originated from, coming out of the Asian Pacific part of the world based on numerology. It's about 11,000 years old. So, we're the only species that measures our life by time. We're the only species that, talks about numbers all the time. Our technology is based on numbers, mathematics, which is known to be the universal language. If we were to communicate with another species, would probably come in sound, colors, in mathematics, not actual speaking like I'm speaking to you now. And maybe this is the year that we finally get full disclosure, first contact, if you will. There's this report that's supposed to be coming out that we're all waiting for. On if we're alone in the universe. I'm not holding my breath because it is coming from our government. And we know that our government likes to vet and edit and redact a lot of information. But they are supposed to release classified information, both the Pentagon and the CIA, to Congress to report to Congress about what they've known about UFOs, which they are calling UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, which is funny to me. It's the same damn thing. But now they're going to change it to UAPs. But just to let us know that, we may not be alone. It may not be little green men. My baby Yoda's gone. I was meditating this morning. But it may be just technology. It may be a species that's more advanced to us. But what's interesting to me is with Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday, and it's been in the works for years, since the 50s, to make this a national holiday. This year in 2021, which is the year of freedom, love, and adventure, it became a federal holiday. So I kind of look at that from a numerology standpoint to go, okay, it's the year of the 5. We can look back on this in history and say Juneteenth was actually enacted and federalized in the year of the 5. That also for me, I've been talking about UAPs and UFOs and first contact and little green men for about 3 years publicly now. I've been following it since the Bob Lazar tapes came out in the late 1990s when I was still in high school. Which is just fascinating about the technology, about first contact, about are we alone, and are we going to finally learn in the year of the 5 the Freedom of Information Act, right? FOIA, Freedom of Information, which you're a paying taxpayer. You got to remember that the president, the Congress, the Senate, the House, all of them work for us. They are supposed to be reporting to us as stewards, as elected officials. They are elected officials by the people, and therefore we should be entitled, as long as it's not jeopardizing national security and it's not jeopardizing some of our safety for our military, of course, but they should be reporting to us. And part of the brokenness of our society is the lack of transparency. The politics has really changed our country, unfortunately. The divide, whether you're on this side or that side, this last year, politics really, I just kind of observed and watched people, how people interacted with me and their opinions, especially through social media. And I always remind people that in order for government to work, it takes 2 wings of the bird to fly. If one wing is only working and the other wing is only obstructing and not working, government doesn't work for the people as it should. And therefore, you got to keep moving along with or without the parties. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see some real freedom of politics to get stuff done for the people, because I think people have had enough. I know that there's people that love Trump and there are people that hate Biden. I don't get caught up in that. I'm not against anything. I'm always for something, and I'm for transparency. I'm for love. I'm for we the people. I'm for equality. I'm for equal rights. I'm for taking care of our planet. I'm for the golden rule, treating people as I like to be treated, and that's not always reciprocated. But in the year of freedom, love, and adventure, which is the year of the 5 in numerology, that's what we should start focusing in on. And I've been talking about this prediction I've had for about 3 years now, called the Great Coming Together. And I don't know what the catalyst or the trigger is going to be to bring people together, but it's usually something big. It's usually something global. In conjunction with this pandemic has opened our eyes for sure, because it impacted the globe. We've had over 600,000 people pass here in the United States, and over 3.5, actually I think it's 3.8 million now, getting closer to 4 million globally around the world that have impacted people's lives. These are people, these are families, these are friends, these are colleagues. And so that pandemic has changed the culture, the society, the behaviors, the belief systems of a lot of people. And when you get to something that scale, there's a great transformation that takes place. And the normal that we once celebrated as normal is not going to be the same as we move forward through our roaring 20s. And the reason I'm saying that it's going to transform is because where we're at as a species, where we're at as a society, you can't continue to have people becoming millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires and not paying any taxes and contributing to the whole of community and society, and having people not make a livable wage. And what happens is that system will implode. And then when it implodes, it's usually replaced from history by dictatorship, authoritarian, revolution, rebellion, civil war. There's usually, if you follow history like I do as a student of history, you'll realize that history repeats itself, not in the same ways, but it does have a rhyme and a rhythm to it, as Mark Twain talked about. And I think that this year will be a year of eye-opening transformations. And we're seeing that already in different aspects. Like I said, go check out my podcast on Spotify or iTunes or YouTube or over at Home Times Radio. I talked about this specifically, how we're even seeing the workforce change. There's a report that came out that about a quarter of the population is going to jump ship in their career. I'm talking about the biggest career shift that we've seen probably in 100 years since the start of making the airplanes and the automobiles. We're going to see a shift in space exploration, space capitalization, more focus on the planet. There's always going to be people that disagree with what I say and always going to fight and rally against what I say. And, that's my, but it's my opinion and I'm entitled to it. This is my platform of positivity and I'm entitled to that, to share that, to always promote positivity, always promote love, to always promote freedom and adventure to anybody that catches my work or watches my shows, whether it's this show, whether I'm over on TikTok. I'm doing a lot more over on TikTok, Instagram, my YouTube channel, Home Times Radio, and my podcast, Inspired Radio, where we've been on the air for 6 years now, 6 seasons, always talking about this. And I think this year is going to be a year where the world is on the move. The 5 is a known energy of being on the move. Some of the strengths of the 5 energy, and I'll just read these from my charts of numerologies. It's about doing what you want finally. The year of the 5 in numerology is about finally realizing that at the end of the day, you're another day older. Time is not guaranteed for tomorrow. You can't change the past. A lot of us like to suffer our past, but we can't change our past. And the future is not guaranteed. So what you have is what I call the magic in the moment. I'm always talking about that, always teaching on that. And to carpe diem today, and the 5 energy is all about seizing the day, about being on the move, being adventurous, being resilient, being enthusiastic, being adaptable, being magnetic, progressive, clever, multi-talented, courageous, resourceful. These are all the strengths associated with the year of the 5. And like I said, it's just interesting to me as I observe and I watch patterns and trends as a numerologist, and I see them happen all the time. This morning, for example, got up and went on the walk for the first day of summer. Right off the bat, 3 blue jays, 3 crows, 3 rabbits, only 2 raccoons, but everything seemed to be in a pattern of 3 for the first 2 or 3 blocks that we were walking this morning. I was like, wow, nature's out. I felt like I was on Noah's Ark, like all these animals were coming out. And then we finally did see 2 humans walking their 2 dogs. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But we started out the morning with 3 blue jays, 3 crows, 3 squirrels, 3 bunnies, and then actually ran into 2 raccoons. One didn't have a tail, which I thought was kind of interesting. But when you observe patterns and we observe nature, and when you observe society, you can see where numbers kind of resonate, whether you see it on your watch, you look at your watch at a certain time, or you just, this happens to me all the time. I get numbers in my dreams. So I had some interesting dreams the last couple of days, but I'll be watching TV and all of a sudden I'll just look at my phone or look at the clock on the TV, and the time is always of the same pattern: 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, no 666. So we don't go up that high. But it's just interesting that if you pay attention to what is unseen in numbers and patterns with numerology, you'll start to see a different side of the house, is what I'm trying to say. And as a medium, as a psychic, I'm both in this physical world in the 3rd dimension, and I'm also connecting to a world that's not seen by many, which we would call the 5th dimension, where a lot of the spiritual energy and a lot of the spiritual forecasting, seeing, predictions type of energy. And so you have to wait for those to catch up. Now, I wasn't always like this. Trauma, tragedy, my near-death experience kind of rewired my brain, called neuroplasticity, my belief systems, losing a lot of family members, and watching people move to the other side kind of opened me up to be aware of this. And, Eckhart Tolle talks about awareness is the greatest agent for change. And the more you become aware of the mystical or the unseen, nothing nefarious or evil, you guys, the more the mystical and the unseen become aware of you. So there is this like attracts like energy. And so this year is a year filled with, cleverness, progressiveness, adaptability. I always think about Darwin when he talks about it's not the strongest that survive, it's not the smartest that survive, it's the most flexible that survive when we go through transformation and changes. And as we get back to this new norm of whatever this is going to look like, there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of flexibility and a lot of adaptability to keep up with the changing times. These younger generations are much different than my generations, and a lot different from my parents' generation, completely almost 2 different worlds of ideology and how they see the world and what they care about. The younger generations are not caught up in, working a job for 30 years, working 9 to 5, to make money to buy a house and have children and settle down, where that's where my parents were driven to graduate high school. Some went on to college, most got married, had kids, and lived happily ever after, I guess. So the generations have changed, the culture has changed, and I'm excited for this year. I think with this report coming out, with full disclosure about UAPs, I think even if it doesn't disclose what I'm hoping it will, but I'm not holding my breath, that saying yes, there are aliens, yes, we're not alone, yes, they've been here this whole time. Are they from another galaxy, or are they right here on a planet based underwater? I mean, 70% of our planet is water. We only know about 10%. I'm a certified diver, advanced diver, and I've done dives all over the world, and there's a lot of ocean out there, you guys. And we know more about our moon scientifically than we do about our own ocean. So they could be right here. But I don't think the report's going to really be over the top. Be honest with you, I'd probably be a little bit let down, a little bit disappointed, just because I know how government works. I think it'll cause more confusion. But what I'm most fascinated about in the year of the 5 is that we're celebrating Juneteenth, which is a day based on freedom for everybody, regardless of your skin color, regardless of who you love or who you worship. This is how we start to come to this great coming together, through representation of understanding our history, teaching our history, learning our history. Yes, I know there's a big debate on critical race theory, but if you don't teach on your history, how do you know that you've progressed, right? Juneteenth was an oxymoron for me, because it became federalized holiday. So all 50 states now have to recognize this as Juneteenth, the day of freedom, the proclamation to end slavery. But yet 15 states in our republic have outlawed it, have actually made it illegal to teach on teaching about what Juneteenth is. Now, I'll be honest with you, as a white middle-aged male, I was never taught what Juneteenth was. I was never taught about the Tulsa burning of Black Wall Street. Those weren't in my books. And I now kind of question some of my history of what I've been taught, because I talked to a friend of mine who's in my development group, and he went to an all Black college, and they actually taught on that at the college. And so critical race theory has nothing to do about making people racist, or it's about teaching where we come from in our history. And history is violent, history is nefarious, history can be dark at times. But if you know that you're going to progress, the only way to know that you've progressed is to learn what history has done, what we've done in history, and how we've grown past that better in history to know where we're at. So critical race theory, don't politicize it, don't get caught. It's been around since the 70s. Academia has been talking about critical race theory since the 70s. It's nothing new, but it's something that should be taught. I just find the irony that it's now a federal holiday of Juneteenth, but 15 states can't teach about it. So a teacher can't tell their students without the critical race theory backlash of what Juneteenth is. So I think it'll take time. You know, when you have 50 states, that's 50 different ways of thinking. That's democracy. That's the United States of America. We'll get there. It takes time and patience. You didn't build Rome in a day, as the old saying goes. But I just thought it was interesting that Juneteenth now, in the year of the 5, is all about freedom, love, adventure. So happy summer to you. Happy summer solstice to you. I hope that you get out this summer. I hope that you are safe, that you get vaccinated until there's a cure for COVID. COVID will be around, especially in places that don't believe in the science and vaccination of it. Some of these states don't want to get vaccinated, and that's free will and choice. That's fine. You know, there's no judgment there, but you just won't find me hanging out in those states with people that don't want to get vaccinated. So, because again, I may get COVID. I'm not naive to say that I may be vaccinated, I may get COVID, but I know I'm not spreading it. I know it stops with me. It's mitigated with me. I know that I'm not spreading it to somebody else that may not be able to survive COVID. And I know that I'm not going to go to the hospital, and I know that I'm not going to be put on a ventilator because my survival rates are really high. But even with people saying, though, the chances of dying are slim, yeah, that's true. But it's about mitigation at this point, mitigation to a disease, to a virus that has no cure to it. So it's all about mitigation in science at this point. So I hope that you get back out into summer, that you enjoy your path going forward, that we've changed from this pandemic. The last 16 months have been quite transformative, lonely, isolated. If you're suffering with depression or mental health emergencies or anxiety, a lot of us are, a lot of us have. Make sure that you seek out somebody to help you, a good friend, a counselor. I always talk about the Suicide Prevention Lifeline as part of my platform, which is 1-800-273-TALK, or go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's always available. These people are awesome. I've given this out to a few of my friends and colleagues over the past few years. But help a loved one, a friend, or yourself. Always reach out during these times, because I also follow the suicide rates, and the suicide rates have really spiked this last 16 months with this pandemic. A lot of people leaving the planet because they don't want to deal with what's going on in life. And life can be a struggle, and it's a real struggle for a lot of you out there. And that's why I come on Monday morning, guys. That's why I do these shows for encouragement, inspiration, motivation. You're not always going to agree with what I say, but I always try to come from a place of love, kindness, caringness. Sometimes I get on my soapbox. I apologize for that. I'm not standing against anything. I'm always standing for something. And it's because I always have had a heart to serve. I've always had a heart when I'm serving my country in the Coast Guard, serving my local community as a professional firefighter before I retired, or now serving spirit to be in service to help others, to help you prospect for that diamond within. Just because I've had a lot of adventures myself and a lot to share as a life coach, as a spiritual teacher. So, just pay attention to the patterns, the year of the 5. The 5 is all about partaking in new adventures, learning new things, meeting new people, visiting new places, but always being on the move. And that's what the rest of this year should be for us as we start to open up and get past this pandemic. But it's also celebrating Juneteenth, which is a day of freedom, federal holiday now. It's also celebrating what we're going to learn about full disclosure, whether it's aliens, UAPs, UFOs, having a little bit of a conversation. That's the cool thing, is we're having conversations. And even the local media, the main media streams are now picking up 60 Minutes, NBC News. They're all reporting on this. And this is how you get this drip, 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 what I call it, effect, where it slowly drips in. You don't overpower people and just release it. it's a drip, drip, drip format, a psychological approach where most people will accept. About 70% polled lately have said, yes, there is something besides us in this universe. And I would hope so, because that'd be a pretty lonely place to be in this universe. It's so mathematically incomprehensible. If we're the only intelligent species out there, I feel sad for us, because I think that we can learn a lot and we can grow as a species and as a culture and as a society and as a planet if we do realize that there is something more advanced than us. As Carl Sagan talked about, if they came all this way, I don't think they came to hurt us and to take our resources. I think they came here to help us evolve, in my personal opinion. Of course, you're going to always have Hollywood and sci-fi movies that say otherwise, but that's a long way to go just to destroy. And that would be from an intelligent standpoint, from a conscious standpoint. If they're a million years more advanced than us, then I would imagine the thinking and the way of being with them would be also higher without violence. Because violence is a very low, when you go to violence, that's a very low, ignorant type of energy. And I guess we'll find out, right? So in the year of the 5, UAPs, UFOs, Juneteenth, summer solstice, the rest of this year is going to be a fun year if you get out and get on the move and you're courageous, you're adventurous, you're enthusiastic, you're resilient. These are all the strengths of the year of the 5 in numerology. That's what this year is. That's what today's episode is all about, the year of the 5. It's also from life lessons in the 5 energy. It's about to plan and prioritize. It's about to focus and to commit to something. It's also to embrace temperance and moderation in everything that we do. It's also to learn to use your freedom constructively. And I mean freedom, not just to do things, but freedom in which we enjoy under a government of democracy and the Constitution. Just because you're free doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. There are responsibilities within society, and we need to go back to that. We need to have the Fairness Doctrine Act for not only social media, but news cycles. So we're presenting facts, not conspiracy theories and lies and misinformation, because that only just drives people apart and causes violence. And it's a lower form of thinking, really. It's ignorance is easy in this day and age. So it's also, this year is about to eliminate any kind of unnecessary drama, to be patient and tolerant for others, to be honest and authentic. That's what the year of the 5 represents, and to achieve a depth of experience. So these are all of the aspects of the year of the 5 in numerology. So I hope that you'll take that to heart. You'll apply a little bit of that today, and what I call soul adventures. So thanks for hanging out with me this morning. We'll get ready for the Healing Cafe, where I'll take your questions, Q&A, live readings, chats. Maybe come in the Zoom room and do some mediumship. You never know. I'm not going to be on the Healing Cafe for too long, because I have about 4 readings today, so I'm kind of busy. So I want to manage my energy. But if you want to join me here on the Intuitive Prospector page, join the 33,000 plus followers of the page for the work that I'm doing, the platform of positivity to promote, to inspire, to encourage, to motivate others, to bring awareness and healing and transformations into our world. That's what I'm all about. You can also visit me at marclainhart.com or internet search the Intuitive Prospector. You can find me on my professional directories at Best American Psychics, Ariel Spiritual Community, and Best Psychic Directory. Other than that, I think that's where we'll stop for today. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, and I hope you enjoyed your mocha or your protein shake or your tea or your hot cocoa, whatever it is that you may have. Good morning to my team, who will be joining me here in the Healing Cafe in just about a minute or so. So hold on, this will go over to my YouTube channel. If you're not on my YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe. Follow me over on YouTube or TikTok or any of the social media platforms. I'm pretty easily found these days. Sometimes I need to hide, I think. But we'll be back here on the Intuitive Prospector page for the Healing Cafe in just about a minute or so. And we'll do some readings. First readings of the summer solstice, Juneteenth, the year of the 5. So until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and most importantly, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, and discover that diamond within. I'll see you next time for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays.